All right, I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey. We're discussing. I did not know the uh, details of what goes into sleep apnea surgery, and it sounds fucking awful.
Yeah, he did it a long time ago, though. That was probably about 15 years ago.
Oh, so
10 or 15. It was about 10 years ago. Yeah.
there's like a good version now.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, so I guess if you go back like 25 years, right?
Uh-huh.
And back when they were doing eye surgeries with those like Moonraker lasers, and
Right?
now I understand it's not that.
No, there's a
even that
machine
bad
that
now,
does it.
yeah.
It's not a guy wielding a fucking piece of pod technology. Yeah.
So maybe apnea surgery is
I don't know.
quicker and
I know
easier
they do
now.
make you try the machine first. So,
Sure, yeah.
No, my dad was on the machine for 15 years. He didn't mind it. So,
Yeah, but you said some. Well, actually, maybe that wasn't you. I know that there are some people that are conscious about like traveling with those fucking things. Like, they don't want to go to the airport.
my
Or
dad was.
was he?
Yeah, but his was the size of a fucking scuba tank. So,
All right.
they're probably smaller now.
They're little ones, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. His was definitely the size of a scuba tank. Scuba.
Okay. Yeah, I can see the problem with that, but yeah, I saw people like travel with it like size of a shoebox, kind of.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's fine. You just throw that in. I would check that actually. I would throw that in a piece of its own luggage and just check it.
I check my bags all the time now.
Right.
Yeah. So, I've completely flipped on that. So, I used to be like, oh no, you got to carry everything because you're going to fuck up your bag. And then I started realizing I don't go anywhere where there's not like toothbrushes. So,
That's what you were saying. I mean,
so I'm not taking specialized like golf equipment with me, or well, you can't take that on the plane anyway. But
no, but I mean, obviously, I don't want them fucking up my computer or anything like that.
well, no, I would put that in a backpack.
Yeah.
I wouldn't check a computer, but
Yeah.
like any clothes, fuck it.
So it's not like any of my clothes, especially the ones I travel with, are worth a shit.
I know.
I mean,
I can just Amazon new ones.
are you fucking crazy?
Yeah.
Like the born on date of most of my clothes still starts with 1-9.
Most of my shirts and pants are definitely older than my daughter's. So yeah, including everything that I'm wearing now. So, well, no, probably not this shirt, but definitely these jeans. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, jeans only like they only so one of two things happens: either they disintegrate or they
or you get
or
fat.
you
Yeah.
yes
You cannot wear them
you
anymore.
outgrow
Yeah.
them. Yes, yeah, that is correct. As a matter of fact, I don't even based on that, I don't really understand how jeans manufacturers stay in business selling to men.
Oh, I don't know, man. I've known. Okay, I've known a couple guys who, yeah, they're like, you got to buy new jeans every couple of years. So but I don't wear them every day.
Nor do I.
No, but I know
No.
people who do. So
No,
that
I
makes a
used
little bit more
to.
sense.
I mean, yeah, I used to, but not.
Oh,
Once you cross, 40, you have different options. Different. Some would say like it's pathetic, but you have certain options that weren't really open to you in your 30s.
sweatpants, yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, sweatpants.
We
Yeah.
we prefer to call them joggers around here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, and like, so my pants like devolve into like two categories. So I have jeans, which I start wearing about this time of year.
All right.
And I'll switch back to cargo shorts in May. So, and if there's nice days between now and then, I will actually, I always have a pair of cargo shorts on the ready.
Right.
So, yeah. And then like work is just khakis.
Right.
And my khakis aren't even khaki. So, but they are khakis. So
They're just trousers.
they're trousers.
pants,
Yeah, they're trousers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're business pants.
Right, but mine are not even like, I mean, I have like two really nice suits. I doubt I could fit in them anymore. So
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, you're kind of right because I go from athletic shorts to joggers, and then if there's a funeral, I'll put on jeans. Uh, no, actually, you're right because at that point, I would actually need to be fitted out for a new suit because it's been number one, it's been so long since
yeah.
I've needed to wear one that I guarantee you the size is not appropriate. Like,
I bought two new suits maybe like 5 years ago.
did you?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
bought them so they're a little they can be let out. And I guarantee you the pants need to be let out now. So
I'd have to buy everything new.
yeah, see, and that's why I got them, like because I had some other kind of function I had to go to, and like the suits that I had like two of them that were well over 15 years old. I could not even remote. I mean, I couldn't get my legs in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That'd be weird too. Just like you're not gonna believe it. I actually got taller.
right? Yeah, I know.
How did that happen?
How'd that happen? I got taller. So yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's like boy clothes is it really seems like you're one of two like camps on that because I have known dudes that actually do have they've got like 40 pairs of shoes. They
Yeah,
have,
I know guys like that.
Okay, yeah. And I'm not talking about like just I'm not just talking about basically ones that take a shine. I mean, they have like
Oh no, they got like all kinds of trainers and like fucking what what are like they're not really hiking boots.
no,
But a lot of
you're
people
talking
have
about basically
those.
like Timberlands,
Timberland,
yeah,
Tim's, yeah,
yeah.
stuff like that. But not even like the big work boot type ones, but
Nope.
like the half boot,
Yep.
like that you see everybody wearing. And then they have like different color Crocs and like yeah, I mean all kinds of boat shoes and stuff.
Yeah, that is just that is not from this neighborhood, man. It's I have not one thing. I'm sure they've existed. I think I've come across somebody like this in my life, but I've never known them personally. Are people that own watches as accessories?
I know a couple guys like that.
that own a few.
I do know people like that.
Do you?
Yep, I have a couple. In fact, there's a couple at the boat club.
Okay,
I work
all
with
right.
a couple, so I work with a couple guys who actually match their shoes and their pants. So to different, I know to
What
different
happened to
days.
your arm?
Oh, what? Oh, yeah, I burned the shit out of myself on my oven.
Jesus Christ!
It's okay, man. So it's really,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's really shit. Yeah, it's radio, not TV. I have this
Okay.
like fucking Witcher-esque scar on the inside.
You're gonna have it for the rest of your life. It's.
I don't
I'm
know,
sorry,
man. I don't know about that. It's really, it's not very deep. So
Doesn't
we'll
matter.
see.
It's no. You're at that age, and you have
Oh, yeah,
you have
okay.
fair skin, so
Maybe
it's not going to be like that. But
it's like you got bit by a shark.
you look like you got fucked up, man. But you're right. It's just not. It looks like it's on the surface, but
It is on the surface. Yeah.
shit must have hurt though.
It didn't when I did it. See, that's the funny thing is like I just
don't.
so I was pulling a pan out of the oven and the top of it just hit
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
yeah, you can tell like
Yeah.
by where it is. So and then it was like instantaneous like ow. So and then I just ran it under cold water and it was pink. And I was like, it'll be fine. That night it just like bubbled up.
I say yeah. It's later
So-
on that those things hurt. Yeah.
No, and I went to sleep and then I wake up in the morning. I was like, God, did I piss myself?
You,
There's a wet spot on my bed, man. Just realized it was arm ooze.
yeah. You sleep and you actually just hear like.
Yeah. So anyway. Yeah,
No, that's
one of my
cool.
battles
I mean,
scars.
yeah, I do like I do like when people can accessorize like that. I mean, that's just a totally different priority from anything that I would care about.
I mean, the guys who do it either A, have money, or B, really don't. So that's what I noticed.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle, so I'm not one of those guys at the moment.
So that's
Yeah.
it. That's what it's. They say a very high amount of like Louis Vuittons are for people that don't have money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's why they got so many knockoff brands out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, because they're like, there's only so many of these high-end brands that we can sell to high-end people. Frankly, it's more people that want to look like they're high-end.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I guess it's the Corvette of handbags.
I guess. Although when you still see one of those on the highway, it's pretty cool. So
I think they look dope as shit.
They do.
But they just they, for whatever reason, that's the official car of the midlife crisis.
The Corvette?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that now. It used to be the Harley. You remember that? Yeah.
And then
How times change. We're not gay. Yeah, I didn't call you gay.
Well, there's a certain that was sort of like a. It's nice when somebody just says what everybody's thinking.
Right. Yeah.
It's like we've all kind of felt this way for a while.
Yeah. And they're out with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, man, I work with there's like two guys that I work with. They're watch guys, but they're also pretty well off. So and then. Like over at the boat club, there's one guy, he's pretty well off. He's a watch guy. There's another guy who's a watch guy, but he's fake. So he ain't got no money. He's got a lot of toys, but he ain't got no money.
Does that count? I mean,
that does not count, man. Your toys depreciate. We're not talking about 1984 metal Transformers here, Jeff.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean,
we're talking about things that have 13% APR on.
Well, I mean, you just mentioned a whole bunch of shit that's out of the box anyway. I mean,
it's all out of the box. Yeah. So,
yeah. And again, that's not the lottery that you want to play. That's not the.
No, we discussed that at length last time with William. Yeah.
That dude's gonna end up on a TV show someday. He is.
I hope it's a good one.
No, it's gonna be. It's gonna be me and like some.
Gonna do an intervention.
Yeah, like some 40-year-old woman doctor who's like, all right, but I mean, these have no value. Like, can we throw away the '90s comics?
Right.
It's like you have a lot of them.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be making noises like, and
for my children.
Yeah, and what was it? Yeah, that's right. Because he was like, it's like, no, the what I want is the stupid comic book and not the millions and something dollars that it represented.
Right.
It's like he wanted the book.
That makes no sense.
Dude, fuck the book.
Yeah, I know.
you sell that to some eccentric millionaire who's trying to prove something.
You sell it to somebody who's already got the money.
Yes.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's so much got the money that he's not gonna fucking haggle you on the price.
Right. Yeah. He just wants it. Yeah. It must complete collection.
Yes.
Yeah.
I must have this artifact.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like
I will have it.
Yeah. We'll throw him over the side.
Right. Yeah. It belongs in a museum. Dun, 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 dun.
Fucking Indiana Jones stealing a comic book. This is the dumbest movie I've seen in my life.
Don't you threaten them with a good time.
I would say, all right, to that end, like, you could have fun with a concept like that where, you're leaning into it. You realize what you've done.
You could.
When you say, like, all right, well, we can't go a serious direction on this, so we just have to.
So if you're gonna stick the fan base in the eye, like do it like Groucho Marx style with both eyes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
To the point where it's very easy to disown this if it doesn't work.
Yeah, or it'd be fun if it did. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
If it turns out, I mean, it does happen. That's you do take those risks with like certain things, but it's like if you do it halfway, that's how you end up with The Last Jedi.
Kind of like Ready Player One, kind of stuff. A little bit, yeah.
Well, that is it's not a good movie. It is a harmless movie.
It's a harmless movie.
It's a harmless movie.
I wouldn't say it's a good movie.
Absolutely nothing to that movie whatsoever. But you're not going to hate yourself for watching it.
No, it's not terrible.
No.
I've been seeing mixed reviews on the new Gladiator. So
most reviews have been saying why. It's more so
Okay.
this is totally unnecessary, adds nothing to a story that was already fully completed.
okay, and it is done by Ridley Scott,
I
right?
don't know. I don't know for sure. Maybe.
Yeah, because Napoleon is bad. So
I didn't watch it. You did?
I did. It's bad. Yeah.
Was there anything redeeming about it where you're just
The battle
like
scenes
the
are pretty
battles?
cool.
Yeah.
There's like one battle scene that was exceptionally well done. So, but then actually most of the battles are pretty good. But a lot of it is just, it's like you're teleporting all over Europe to different
Right.
battle scenes.
Yeah.
So, and Joaquin Phoenix, he's good, but he's very mopey in it.
Right.
So, and I can only take so much of that, man. So,
Well, I would argue that a lot of times mopey Joaquin Phoenix is a better supporting role than a lead role.
he's definitely the lead role in that movie.
Oftentimes. Joker's a little bit different story because
I haven't seen the second one.
I haven't either.
Yeah,
It's,
okay.
Again,
That one got universally panned. So
well,
it's
some
being
people did
awful.
love it. Some
Really?
people did love it. Some people
It wasn't movie Bob, was it?
I don't know. I haven't checked on him lately. He's one of the pussies that fled to Bluesky after.
Okay, yeah, I did notice that, man. Some of my guys that I was following fled over there. So
The biggest pussies on the planet, or that.
these guys, I didn't even think these guys were political. They're game devs. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't follow them for political shit. So they
Yeah.
didn't post political shit. They're just like, hey, we're moving over Blue Sky. That's where the community is now. I'm like, okay.
It's not, but yeah, it's that place is that's a cesspit because
No, none of my political guys fled over there. One of them's thinking about it though, and if he does, I'll keep the door. I'll hold the seat for him.
there are some
And the
people,
Twitter.
there are some people that have nobody's deleted their account. In fact, a lot of people are posting on both places, but the all right. I'm just gonna go out here and say this in terms of the crowd that Blue Sky did attract and is still attracting and are not moderating out. It is a haven of fucking CP and pedos and fucking zoophiles and
What is a zoophile?
the people who are sexually attracted to animals.
Oh,
and-
like-
and- no,
Not furries.
that's its own thing. We're talking about people that want to fuck animals.
That's a real thing.
It's a real thing, dude.
Okay.
And these are and trannies, and basically, so this is it's like 75% degenerates. I mean, it is because it's this is that was their place where it's like we're not going to get picked on by the people at large. It's like, okay, yeah, now there does happen to be a leftist crossover, but
Blue Sky, that's not Jack Dorsey's thing, is it?
it was a thing that he made afterwards and then abandoned because he's like, the moderation policies are fucking nuts.
Oh, wait, so he's not in charge of it?
Uh-uh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he fled from the place because he's like,
I thought there was a third one.
yeah, there's a place over there from Facebook called Threads.
Threads, that's okay. Yeah, you're right. Jack Dorsey did make Blue Sky.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then Threads, and then there was another one.
There's Mastodon.
Mastodon, that was the one that I saw some people jump over to and then came back because Mastodon is basically Discord. So
Right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's shitty Discord. I mean,
Right.
to Discord's credit,
Their interface is fine.
absolutely. Yes. Yeah, because you might as well, like in that regard, you might as well be like on Slack, and that's a waste of time. But yeah, so
Yeah, Mastodon is like Slack, isn't it?
yeah, so
Yeah.
Discord for its interface, it's fine.
Yeah, it's the contents that's the problem.
There are
It,
the way that you are invited into certain things is like can I vet you not to tell the police that we're making bathtub hormone replacement therapy shit?
You could do that?
Yeah, nothing like telling 14-year-olds to inject this shit that has hair in it. Again, this is what I'm talking about. Is like this is the degeneracy that you've invited. The thing about Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, is that everyone is welcome. Now, that, of course, means that you get everybody from every shitty place. That means...
You do have to have a little bit thicker of a skin to be on Twitter. So...
It does mean that there are people that have very strong views about the purity of the white race. It does mean...
They are there.
That you have people that...
Really like the Roman Empire.
Love it. That are just...
I know what faction they picked in Vegas.
There are dudes that just like, they see lightning bolts everywhere. They think it's sweet. There are also, I mean, but that's the thing, is where you look at it, it's like, is there anti-Semitism? It's like, yes, and it comes from a couple of different places. It's like, half of it comes from the white nationalists, and the other half comes from the Palestinians, who are way more open about talking about it because they've had like free reign to do it. Like, and it's weird when you see Palestinian rallies with dudes holding swastikas. I'm like, this is some fucked up shit.
Have there been many of those lately, though? I haven't seen it.
Well, school's back in, right?
Yeah, but we haven't seen none of that. So...
Not here, no.
No, but... Like... Not even within the area, you know?
No, the I would say that the... Alright, so I don't want to say I'm let down by this. Actually, no, not at all. The reactions to the election, in terms of what I thought would happen, protest and like tipping over cars wise, nothing. Like, there's fucking way more street pandemonium when like the Detroit Pistons go to the playoffs. Right. So that like didn't happen. There were a couple of places.
We're in like Holland right now. So yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do with us, man. So
absolutely nothing. That maybe that happens like at inauguration time. I have no idea, but
I think it just goes to show that the extremely loud portion of Twitter / YouTube, whatever, out there that was basically screaming that a Trump presidency would be the end of the republic as we know it.
Right.
Is much smaller than we thought it was.
Not that they didn't. It's not as though they didn't have like cheerleaders for that theory on MSNBC and
man, like, did you see Rachel Maddow take a pay cut today?
Patrick, this was one thing I could not understand. This is Scott Adams talked about this morning.
Oh, I've got to catch up with that guy.
He's kind of he just pokes at things.
He's pretty fighty.
He said his thing that got...
He's Stephen King's foil in some ways.
All right, I'd have to... all right, I'd have to get out a notepad and really start...
Right, I'm not asking for a literary analysis here.
No, you may have something here.
It's just something I'm going to put on a sticky.
No, it's funny because there's something to that. It's like, so what's your literary contribution? It's like, well, like The Shining versus like Dilbert, and in some ways, there's something to be said about that. I'm gonna have to spend more time with that. But there were definitely like cheerleaders for that. Again, I'm not going to talk about The View because they're lunatics about all this shit. This is
that's its own special thing, though.
It is.
It's the island of misfit toys.
Who said that was the border guy? That was Tom.
That police-looking dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
I keep calling him like Tom Hagen, but that's from The Godfather.
That's from The Godfather.
But it's
You're
like,
out, Tom.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
So there is some of that retardation in terms of like this is going to be a police state, and you know, we all. That's the thing is like Project 2025 was a gold mine for jokes, right? And we squeezed them all out. You know, you'd go out there and say like, you know, you'd just pick on something. You'd say like, Project 2025 is going to outlaw rocket pops or whatever. It's just
right. Yeah. Moon pies for everybody. Yeah.
You know, but none of this shit is panning out.
No.
It was always It was.
Well, no, I mean, like, if you actually dug, like, less than 2 inches deep into Project 2025, you're like, yeah, Donald Trump's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do this, you know? So.
Yeah, and when he says that I didn't read it, I believe him.
Oh, of course he did. It's like 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
I don't think he's read 1,000 pages in his life.
I think he read the first 4 pages of Jurassic
his own
Park.
book. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Send it to press.
Yeah, you're right. Because Lord knows he didn't write it. I mean...
No! We know the lady who did.
I just don't... You know, a guy that... There is... To me, there is nothing funnier than seeing that airplane photo of RFK Jr. holding a Big Mac like
that is hilarious.
It was made of plutonium.
I know, yeah. I mean, he's got his pinkies out on it, man. Yeah. So you gotta finish that, Bobby. You gotta eat it before the sauce gets cold.
Dana White, he's like, I've never seen the man drink water.
Right, yeah. Let alone a Diet Coke.
He's like, we were at an event for like 6 hours. He looked thirsty. I'm like, do you need a water? He's like, no. And then he just sent the dude for, he's like, and he came back with a Coke. That man has never...
Oh, you mean Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's just, they're like, he's a different animal.
I guess, man. Yeah.
I don't
have no idea. So.
Look, he's not in charge of the health thing. You hire the person, you put the person in place that is going to look out for that kind of stuff. And actually, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think that...
What are you looking forward to about that?
I'm hoping that a lot of the... I always get my hopes up for this. I'm hoping that a lot of the dirtier secrets about, you know, the food industry come to light. Things that have been long suspected, things that get, you know, washed out. There are... Again, this was based on another, you know, I ended up writing this, you know, earlier on because it was talking about, I had to write a piece about work life, right? And so I ended up looking up some data, and I ended up, you know, using food as a comparison, right? Mm-hmm. So, evidently, 60% of all adults report that they do not have a healthy work-life balance.
Nobody has a healthy work-life balance.
Well, this was sort of the point.
Yeah.
Was, at the same token, I was like, all right, so 4 out of 10 is actually 42% of all adults are obese, right?
Okay.
So the point here was...
Really? I thought we had hit 50-50. In the U.S.?
It depends on the demographic.
Okay.
So this is basically all... when you put it all together.
Okay.
There are certain demographics that are already there.
Yeah.
But so the thing is, like, there is no short of information about this, right? I can't tell you anything that you don't already know, right? And this is the same thing when it comes to food. It's like there's nobody out there that doesn't know that Big Macs aren't good for you. There's nobody out there that doesn't know where to get green vegetables and fresh meat. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows where to do it. So where are we going wrong, right?
Well, people like that stuff better.
Here's the problem, though.
Yeah.
Is that an answer? No.
Well, I don't know. In work, it's a little bit different. I mean, you know, just it comes down to it, people would rather work than not. So, you know.
Well, it's not.
They really do, Jeff.
It's not a question of rather work than not. That was the whole approach of this here. Is that the approach is it's a misnomer. It's completely a
Work-life
misnomer.
balance.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I think that's up there with, like, millennials and Gen X's. It's a construct that we use. It's not. It doesn't represent anything real. So.
And yeah, it was interesting to basically research the etymology as to where this comes from. And
Work-life balance?
What do you
Let me give a guess at it. That
Yes.
we probably didn't see anything remotely resembling that actual, like, those words
now
until the mid-90s.
now here's the thing. So you're talking about the phrase, right?
Well, I'm talking about the concept. So, where it was actually recognized that, like, oh, whoa, you shouldn't be working so much. You should spend more time with your kids. Kind of thing. That's fairly recent. So, I mean, the idea of actually having, like, more than 2 days off was, I mean, you were a communist if you wanted. You go back far enough, people are like, wait, what? A 6-day work week? That's
All right.
the standard.
All right. So it goes back to I think it was 1861.
For what?
It was you probably know about this. I'd struggle to know the name, but remember the name right offhand. But basically, it was the proposition of he didn't talk about how many days you worked. Mm-hmm. But this was a factory owner who very much pushed for the 8-8-8. It was 8 hours labor, 8 hours recreation, 8 hours rest.
There were a couple people that did that. I thought it was a coal mine, so
it was a factory worker, but that doesn't. That's not to say that it didn't take off in other places, right? So this was the first real. They didn't call it work-life, but it was basically work-life balance.
Yeah.
It was the in order to labor, you must recharge this, and this, right? Mm-hmm. And this was part of the thing. I was like, well, this is by today's standards, this is literally impossible.
What, 8-8-8?
Well, this was the point. I was like, all right, so maybe if you wake up the moment you go to work. And you quit.
If you live in a company town where the factory is next door to your house, sure.
Right.
Which everybody did back then.
Oh, yeah. Well, and this was the other component. I was like, all right, so did you wake up the second that you were going to work? No. Mm-hmm. Do you live right next to work? No. Do you work in San Francisco and can afford to live right next to work? Okay, you're lucky because there's about 1% of you that can. The rest of you came from fucking San Jose, and it took you an hour to get here if traffic was cooperative.
Right. If it was moving.
And so that was the thing was, and on top of that, it's like, okay, so you're going to get there. They don't pay you for 30 minutes of lunch, but you're going to be there for it, right? So, they only have to pay you if it's an hour.
Yeah, I know, but that's if you're actually a wage worker. So,
well, no, and this is where I'm like, if you're salaried, you're even double fucked because I'm like,
but everybody's salaried now, man.
But this is what I'm saying, right? Is so the 8-hour day, right, is going to be tough to come through. Let alone counting all of those things that you have to, dip into. If you're a woman, I asked this like of the vet's office, right? I was like, how early do you have to wake up to get to work? And I was like, I've heard women say that. I was like, well, you don't have to put on makeup. It's like, no, you moron. There's a makeup that we put on to make it look like we don't wear makeup.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
and so
depends on the woman, but yeah,
it does.
It usually takes quite a bit more time.
So. Exactly. So I'm like, so you're at basically like 12 hours minimum.
12 hours?
For labor stuff. Basically, everything in the service of labor, getting up for, going to, all this other stuff, by the time you get back. So then the question is, so what do you start detracting from in order to recharge?
Oh, sleep.
Or recreation time, right?
Right, yeah, sure.
Right? which means you're not getting the recommend. It's like, so this is impossible. So where does this also start to, how do we accommodate this?
Depends on the job.
And that was the thing.
Yeah, it
right?
depends on the job. If it's 24/7 job where you have 3 shifts, there ain't no room. You're working 8.5 hours a day, whether you like it or not.
That is correct.
So,
but what do you do then?
suck it up.
That's the wrong answer.
No, that's the right answer in my book.
No, that's
Where you go find a new fucking job, man. So,
well, this was part of it. Again, the next step this took was actually to Freud, right? Was he had 2 components of this, was to love and work. That's all there is, right? But that was the other point where I was like, but Freud never threw luggage. Freud never.
I don't know his background.
He went straight from medical school into medicine.
Okay.
Right? So the bottom line is he was doing what he wanted. He never had like a first job. He never had a...
So he wasn't like a postal clerk like Einstein.
Hell no.
I don't know his background. So
nope. That was the thing, was for him, because I was like, the whole purpose was about doing something that is bigger than you are, or contributing to that. Right?
Yeah.
And so for him, he jumped straight into that. But if you came in there and like your first job was fucking like, I don't know, like being a rig hand or fucking something, it's like that dude was not digging ditches, right? He never wrote anything from the perspective of somebody who's like, fuck, I am
would he
tired.
need to though?
Here's the thing is, it all depends on whether you find meaning in what you're doing. Right? If you're if you're digging holes, if you're putting bodies in the ground and you see the inherent value in it, right?
Well, your work itself doesn't have to be meaningful. So in order to live and to work, like building a house and raising a family is work. So,
that thing you just read out, you're clearly contributing to something bigger.
Well, yeah, but you're just not doing it in the sense that you're like Freudian, where you're contributing to this large body of knowledge that will actually change the way. It's not that big.
Well, here's the thing.
So you're just helping out your family, man.
This is the thing. It had nothing to do with his actual contribution. It had everything to do about whether he believed he was contributing. Because here's the thing: is we, as I said on this one, like, if history panned out and said like this dude's just like a fucking quack of quacks, right? It would have had zero impact on the way that he perceived.
Yeah, that's true.
His perceptions.
Well, yeah, because he was dead. So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, in his lifetime, he did get to see, his own
a little bit, yeah.
No, he got to see his bro. It's just a modern father of modern psychology for a reason. But
right.
But yeah, he did get to see his proteges get out there and do their own things. But that's the thing where. If you're, like you said, like suck it up, it's like, or find another job, it's like that's part of it. It's like if you can derive no meaning from this, like if you're just kind of like, I'm not seeing the contribution here, I'm not feeling a contribution here at Wendy's. It's like you need to get going.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, and that's the point. Dave Ramsey makes this point all the time. He's like, forward progress is progress. And so if it's progress towards something bigger, then as long as you're moving closer to it, you're
moving.
You're moving. And so, and nobody is designed to like, a job at Wendy's is not designed to carry you to retirement. So that's not the purpose of that job.
Unless you're a certain type of person, and then if that's the case, that's totally okay.
And that is your call.
Well, we know the type of person where it's like, you know what? This job is good for you.
That's fine.
And they're like, I like doing exactly the same thing every day. And I'm like, good for you, brother. It's cool.
Yeah. Just on my own research, I can tell you people like that are extremely rare. So
yeah, but we went to school with some of them.
Of course we went to school with some of them, but they're most jobs, like any kind of like service job like that, anything that doesn't like either connotate some form of ownership, some sort of pride in your work, like being able, like manufacturing cars.
Yes.
Cars is a really good one. So there's a reason why auto workers get really, like prickly when jobs get shipped overseas and stuff. It's because that's one of the few jobs out there where you can go to the factory, you can do a lot of work, and then you can drive by a dealership that day and see people picking up your car. Yeah. That's a really good fucking feeling. It's a really powerful motivator. You know, and so like if you don't have a job that has that component in it, you got a problem. So, but a lot of those jobs, like, okay, especially like, you know, fast food service is not going to be what it is today in 5 years. It's going to be completely different, man. I'm going to tell you that right now. So it is
I've
no longer cheap,
seen-
it is no longer fast, and it is no longer good. So, you know,
Well, I have seen the prototype versions in other countries.
yeah.
They would say high trust countries, where
Well, you don't open up the burger to make sure it's right and then put it back. Yeah.
no, I'm talking about well, high trust societies, I should
Right.
say, where
Where you touch all the meat to see which one you want.
no, just in terms of these are the boundaries. We're not going to use crowbars. We're not
Oh,
going
right,
to,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
If other orders, if yours pops out in slot 50, you go to slot 50 and you take your slot.
50, yeah.
Right? You do not open other people's slots. You do not try to jack them for their fucking burgers. Right?
Yeah. Grab hags.
Yes. Right.
No grab haggery.
Exactly. So yeah, I've seen the future of this, and it looks cold. It looks clinical, but
It's going to be.
I feel it's going to have all the personality of that machine where you used to get that Jimmy Dean sausage biscuit.
Right.
It's going to have.
You have to open the door yourself.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might, man. I mean, what'll happen first is some of the players will get knocked out. So you've already seen some of them, like Wendy's is closing hundreds of locations. You know, so you'll see them start because they're competing for the same labor pool. So and that labor pool is shrinking, not growing. So you know. But then again, it's a transitionary job. You don't go to Taco Bell expecting to get your gold watch from Taco Bell someday.
Right.
You know, and there's going to be plenty of opportunities out there. In fact, there's going to be so many opportunities, it's going to be ridiculous. But at the same point in time, it's also like, if your employer doesn't treat you right, if you have bad work-life balance, you will be able to change your situation very easily. So, you know.
Well, it's as we've discussed. It's the history of all mankind. And again, if we're wrong, okay, here's the thing: is if this is the one time that we're wrong, and the robots exterminate us,
Okay.
shit we can do about it.
Yeah,
Fucking
right,
happen.
yeah, exactly.
All right,
yeah, I'll put the refrigerator box over my head.
my bad call. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we had a really good looking power stat for a while of end times predicted, end times failed.
Yes.
You know,
Batting 1,000, baby.
batting 1,000. So if this is the one, I'm like, shit, my bad.
My bad.
All right, bad prediction. But in every technological revolution, it has always resulted in more jobs and more population than less. It has always created.
I don't
more
know
jobs.
about the population. That's the one that I'm not convinced of. Like there's some population data that's been coming out that's pretty fucking bleak. So, you know, pretty much across the board, there was a big report that came out a couple days ago about this. I can't remember who exactly punched it out, but it was basically, I don't think it was the UN. It might have been the WTO or one of those big ones pumped out like revisions on population projections over the next 25 years.
yeah.
They're bad everywhere, Jeff.
Well,
Like even places where you would expect, they have like 8 kids apiece, like Nigeria. No, it's like in a generation, it's gone down to like normie levels. So you know, like it's across the board. And there's countries out there like Korea and China, you know, where it's sub 1 now.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are more old people than there are young people. In the U.S., I mean, ours is getting revised down. Like the chances that we'll hit a 400 million person nation basically just evaporated. So you know, okay. So we're gonna have a smaller workforce in the future. That will be the interesting thing. So it means there's gonna be a lot of jobs that are out there today that don't exist in the future because they're too fucking expensive to pay somebody to do. So we'll have to see what they would be.
well, possibly. I mean, there's
Pizza deliveries on the hit list, man.
well, yeah, Yeah, this is the weird thing, man. Is I subscribe to what you're saying. All I can say here is that every time that there's been labor shortages like that are when you see big increases in workers' rights.
Well, that's fine. So I mean, that's probably due anyway.
Oh,
So,
right.
yeah.
But that's to the.
But they're not going to come in the form of legislated rights, like you get 16 weeks of vacation. No, it's going to be like, so I deliver pizzas making $42 an hour. That guy over there is going to pay me $50 an hour. I'm going to go work there. That guy over there is going to pay me $60. I'm going to go work there.
No,
so
but
that's how it's going to happen.
I could see it in terms of certain legislation of these jobs cannot be automated.
I doubt that. So
I doubt it as well.
I doubt that
I
just
see
because
it as a possibility.
it could be a possibility, but still at the same point in time, you're basically going to force prices on the consumers at that point in time.
They don't like that.
They don't like that.
No.
We've found that out in any politician who tries to raise the price of your milk over the next 5 years is basically cooked. So we're not going to see it like that. I mean, like in the whole like the longshoreman strike. All right, so that one might be legit. Okay, just because that's a choke point. Until someone figures it out, if we don't import as much shit in the future, then they're going to lose that monopoly.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know,
There's multiple ways to solve these problems.
there's a lot of ways to solve that problem. He's like, fine, we'll fucking build cars in America again. And so, you know,
What? Can you? Okay, if you do that, can you, like ship them out of the country so we can ship them back in?
No,
Look, man,
we don't put them on the boat and test them out, man. Yeah. So no, it's going to be a different world, man. You know, in some respects, and like labor is going to be scarce, so labor is going to be valuable. So labor will actually command quite a bit of concession out of the market, just based upon its own scarcity. So. Because when it comes down to it, there's going to be a few things that people just are going to be willing to pay out the ass to have people do rather than machines. Like lift your mom out of bed at the nursing home.
Yep.
So that's going to be one where I don't think anybody's going to trust that to a robot anytime soon. Okay. And so that's going to be, a sector of the job. If you're a dude out there and you've got some muscles on you, go be a nurse. You're going to make triple what you would if you were fucking swinging hammers somewhere. So,
there's that. I think, oddly enough, I think there's going to be other things that are going to be in high demand are going to be like police officers. I think that's
possible. They're already getting paid a lot.
Yeah.
Like here, the starting salary here is over $100K.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, and I mean, I remember a couple of years ago when I was at 70, I was like, wow, that's good. But starting as a cop, over 100K is amazing. So
crazy.
If that's what it takes,
well, that's the point.
Yeah.
Right. If that's what it takes to draw talent, I mean,
and teachers are up to 45.
What a life.
What a life.
No, as a matter of fact, as we've discussed, that's how you get the fucking lunatics in the
classrooms. Yeah,
yes,
it is. It's absolutely what it is, man. That's why teachers' unions are a fucking joke. So because quite honestly, I mean, it was bad when I was teaching, and same thing with you. You about half your colleagues had some kind of outside financial support. It's got to be way more than half by now. So if you went in there and imagine having like a classic 2-teacher household. So, fuck, you'd be living a double wide. So somewhere.
Well, I mean, you could make it work. I mean, that's the thing. You could make that work, and you could actually put together a decent living. Like, you could. It's just a question of, well, you and I have talked about it. Like, this is an American life is jam packed with stuff. Way more stuff than
way more stuff
than I think any other country on the planet in terms of, like, when you talked about take all your things and put them on the lawn. It's like,
dude, Geo did a great story on that like 5 years ago where they said take all your shit out and put it on your lawn, take a picture of it. People in the United States were like
fucking welfare queens are over there. So it's like, wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're the Duke of what? Yeah, it's like, no, actually, I'm on benefits. So it's like, I buy this and the Snap card buys my food. But it's in comparison, it's like, yes. And that's not to say that I don't think that Americans are naturally any more materialistic than anybody else on the planet. I think it's just...
I would ask people from not America that question, so to get some perspective on it.
Problem is, the not Americans that I've been associating with
They collect perfume. Yeah, I know. So,
it is,
I get it. That's different.
Unfortunately, a bad cross section of foreigners that. And that same thing goes with all my old rich ass students from the old days too, where it's like,
I've had a lot of poor students come from overseas over the years. They once they get over the shock a little bit, so they become like very much so like us very quickly. So
right.
I was like, no, yeah, you deserve 2 cars.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you do as the Romans do. Very
exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, but there is that period of shock, and I think that actually speaks to the fact that we might be a little bit out of the norm.
I got again the other fight I got into today. I can't believe this took like 25 minutes, but it was about temperature. And it was like she's like, I am so sick of you standing up for things that you know are wrong. When it comes to like Americanisms, like, this isn't an Americanism. This is imperial. This comes from Britain. What
is this? To her credit, you do get a little stubborn on things, man.
I absolutely do. She asked what the temperature was like over here. I was like, it's actually a very nice day. It's about 60 degrees out. And she like kind of lifted an eyebrow. It's like, look, I'm not going to convert this into whatever fucking moon language that you
yeah. It's not the surface of the sun. Yeah. And your moon language.
And so the classic argument is like, what is so complicated about this? Like, water freezes at 0, water boils at 100. I'm like, okay, so I got it.
All right.
Well, I was like, water boils at 212. It freezes at 32. Okay, so take a look at the difference of notches in between 32 and 212. Right?
Yeah.
It keeps us from having to use decimal points.
It does.
It is far more accurate a scale, and it's not that hard to figure out.
Well, it's just a base scale. So the thing about it is, yes, Celsius it's a pure interval scale.
Correct.
Okay, meaning that the difference in degrees is the same up and down. So, but the thing about Celsius is like, and I explained this to one of my German students one. He was like, that's the best explanation of Fahrenheit I've ever heard. He always thought it was some weird, stupid British imperial thing. I'm like, it is, okay? And we happen to adopt it. But think about it like this. 0 degrees in Celsius is like a nippy day, okay? 100 degrees Celsius is you're dead.
Is the end of the fucking world.
You are fucking dead, okay? So whereas in like Fahrenheit, 0 degrees is more than a nippy day. It's fucking cold, but you're not dead, okay? 100 is fucking hot, but you're not dead.
Live.
Okay?
Yes.
So anything above or below that, you might die. And so you have like this nice like range of like how close to death are you?
With a spot in between that says water freezes here.
Water freezes here, yeah. And that's originally how this scale was designed. It was like, is it hot out? Yeah, it's really hot. Let's make this 100. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Does this happen all the time? No, this is kind of like uncommonly hot. Okay, this is a good 100. Okay, and then you're like, oh man, it's fucking cold out. It's just like,
right.
Are the pipes frozen? Oh yeah, they've been frozen for a while. Yeah, it's damn cold. Let's make this 0. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's where I was like, so do you need all of your measurements to be simple enough for you to count on your fingers and toes?
Oh,
and
come on.
No.
You don't need to punch down on the Russians, Jeff.
Well, I also said this. I was also.
She does pay you, right?
Yes. There are certain things. Look, I will certainly not argue when it comes to other forms of measurements. I was like, you're not ever gonna catch me over here like standing standing on guard for like quarts and pints and all this other bullshit.
With 5,214 feet, that's a mile or whatever it is.
5,280.
Oh, my bad.
I know.
Who the fuck cares?
And 1,763 yards.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I know. And you say like, so it's not a meter. It's like, no, it's like this close.
Right.
So they're not interchangeable. And again, the same thing where I say like, I'm used to pounds. They are vastly inferior to kilos.
Kilos are way better. I
Totally understand.
I completely do not understand them. So especially when someone says something like, you know, oh, you lost 14 kilos. I'm like,
It's like,
did you stop eating cereal?
Exactly.
So,
It's like-
you know, and then not realize it's like, oh, no, wait, you like ran track for 3 years.
when somebody says like 14 kilos, I can't, I have a hard time placing it. I'm like, so you look like an Auschwitz survivor or
Yeah. So you just went down a shirt size, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is what the British say. It was lost 4 stone. I'm like, what the fuck?
and then it's like, wait, it's like how many pounds to a stone?
Right.
And it's like, does anybody still measure years and score? You know, it's just, it's stupid. So I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of it, but I'm like, your specifically your scale of heat, of temperature, is not precise enough
Right.
to actually count for. And again, the whole thing was, you just put decimals, and I'm like, no, you don't put decimals in it when you have a system that works perfectly without them.
Yeah.
Right. Because it was again, it's the same thing. It's like, so you want to go to your thermostat and say like, I want it 15.7. 15 points.
Well, and you see that when you're watching like Mexican TV, you know, where they're talking about like 30.2 centigrade. I'm like, does 0.2 matter? Apparently it does. So
And it shouldn't.
yeah,
When a whole number will do fine.
it's fine.
Look,
Whatever you're used to, it's fine. So
the American struggle for temperature is a range between basically 67 degrees and 75.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, if your wife is a full-on fucking lizard and she just she goes into complete like stasis at any it
if it
happens.
gets cloudy out, yeah,
Dude, it happens.
yeah.
Some women are so
My
like,
wife used to be like that until she went through chemo, and now she radiates heat. I'm the one. I'm like, fuck, it's cold in here. My nips are sticking out, man.
and then she's like, well, it's gonna be cold, so you
It's
can
gonna
put
be
on a
good. Go
goddamn
put on a
sweater.
sweater. Yes, dude.
Like, do you understand what it's like to be a woman under normal circumstances for life?
I do now. Yes, now I understand. As you get older and like flabbier, like you start to understand,
It's
man.
weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. And again, I understand these things, but I'm like, in this particular case, because I would argue that generally speaking, in terms of like mechanics and stuff, right? I think that the metric system for measurements for like nuts and bolts and stuff like that is
it's
far superior.
Yeah.
To God is like. We're so.
Why do I need a 3/8? You know, is there something between 3/8 and 5/8? It's like, oh yeah, that's a half. Oh fuck, I knew that.
It's like, are we almost in 7/16 territory? It's like we are. And as a matter of fact, that is generally speaking the automaker's favorite size, 7/16.
Depends on who it is. Yeah,
There's that too. But I mean, yeah, you're like, this is stupid. This is legitimately stupid. So yeah, you take all the victories that you can, right? Pints, they can suck a dick. It's all fine. It's fine. Am I going to debate you guys about like which side of the road to drive on? Yes, the right side is far superior. But you know what?
I've never done it on the left, so I don't.
Most countries don't. It's very.
Yeah, but enough do that it's kind of like. I mean, like, and a lot of people do. So, like, India is that way. So,
It's India.
well, so it's
A
like,
quarter of their people live without toilets.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's true in China too, but yeah,
So
you drive
I
on
will-
the right-hand side of the road. So
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna knock it until I try.
No, there's certain things that you don't get to contribute until I've seen that you've solved this problem first. And indoor defecation is one of them that is a qualifier for me before I start taking advice on like, no, actually driving on this side of the road is superior. It's like, nah, you guys got to fix this first.
No, we're gonna land on the moon first.
That's right. You know, I ended up again. This was another part of the project. I ended up doing a significant amount of research about the space race, and it is pretty wild how
Fun
many
stuff.
Well,
It's fun stuff.
it's fun stuff, but it is pretty wild to see how many things the Americans lost.
A lot. Yeah. First man in space, first woman in space, first chimp in space.
First contact with the moon,
First contact with the
although
moon.
it was a bounce.
First orbit.
Yeah.
So there was a lot that they lost. I think the Soviets did the first successful like docking. So no, maybe we did that, but they did something.
Well, they
did something.
They had a soft landing on the moon.
They did have a soft landing on it, but it was unmanned, of
Yep.
course. So, and it lost and it didn't have radiation shielding on it, so it lost like contact within like 3 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So
that was Luna 9. That was I was specifically looking at that.
yeah.
It worked for a bit.
Did you see the one where they actually made it to Venus first, and the thing like went on there, and they like super Soviet fortified it and everything,
Yeah.
and it went on the fritz in like 15 seconds. Yeah. So they were the first ones to land on Venus. So there was a lot. So yeah,
Tons.
there was a lot, and they were pooping on the floors of those places.
Well, I did part of the research on that was fascinating was they have very different philosophies about design in terms of. So the Americans were very much like one but one good one.
Oh, so no, keep doing it.
It was throw shit like
Yeah.
I was surprised at how many of their projects like were trying to reach the moon. How many of the projects like one after the other was miss the moon? I'm like, it's right there. It's huge.
Right. Yeah.
But it's miss the moon.
No, just build
entirely.
another one. Yeah.
Right.
Just build another one.
Yeah. There was just this yeah, you guys got a lot of firsts here, but if there were people in those,
They will all die.
yeah,
Yeah. Like, well, all the animals that they sent to space, all the dogs, all the kitties,
super dead.
the monkeys, all super dead. So yeah.
Yeah.
Where I think we killed like a dog. So
Yes.
and like 3 guys. So we don't know how many they killed. That was something that didn't come out of the archives when we got a little peeky there. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, it was and it came up specifically with that whole decision of like, so do we think that the moon's surface is soft or hard? Like, well, these guys say this, these guys say this. We got to make a call. So like, I say it's hard.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you say it's hard? Because it's going to be a lot harder for us to do stuff if we say it's soft.
We just gotta try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's pretty goddamn funny. Yeah, it's you're well aware of it, man. I'm like, this is a shit show.
oh, but it was fascinating stuff. I read. I don't know when it was, but like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I went on a kick and just did a tear of reading on that stuff.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and I mean, a lot of it was tied into like the Cuban Missile Crisis and stuff like that,
yeah.
you know. But then like the whole like the nuclear arms race, where both sides are basically using the space programs to develop rocketry, you know, technology.
Boy, isn't that some interesting stuff as of this week?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know how big of a deal that is, though. So
I want it to be a very little deal, Patrick.
I think it is. It's
I
a
hope it
very
stays.
it's a very Putin thing to do, man. So, but
yes.
watching the MIRVs come down was pretty freaky. So
Yeah.
But then there was no Boombas, and so I was like, oh, okay. So
I mean, there was some Boombas.
they were all inert.
Yeah.
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 See, the funny thing is, they got all bent out of shape because, you know, so the Ukrainians have had these missiles, these ATACMS missiles, for months now. So, and they say, all right, so like now you can strike deeper in. Well, they didn't hit Moscow with it,
Right.
because they're not going to let them send them that far.
Yeah.
Okay, the whole purpose behind this was, well, so we had this like restriction that you couldn't use them on any non-previous Ukrainian territory.
Right.
So they could fire them into the Donbass, they could fire them into Luhansk, but they couldn't fire them into like Rostov-on-Don. And so the Russians, all they did was move their shit back because they're not dumb. So and we're kind of dumb because we told them we were going to do this. So yeah, go Anthony Blinken, but whatever. So anyway. And so the Ukrainians, they take this chunk of land around Kursk, okay? So, and it immediately gets surrounded by Russians and now North Koreans. And so in order for them to strike those tactical, because remember, like everywhere else, the Russians that are actually striking the Ukrainians are in Ukraine. Okay? This is the only place where Russians are in Russia striking Ukrainians.
Right.
And so that's what they gave them permission to hit. And so everybody's like, oh, fuck, they're going to bomb the Kremlin. And I'm like, no. Come on, guys, they're not that stupid. So,
we would know.
We would know. So, and I mean, that is like, it hasn't stopped them anyway. They've been doing drone strikes that deep with homemade fucking, propeller driven drones. So, whatever.
And that's not the kind of thing that warrants nuclear retaliation.
No, but I mean, this is the perfect thing because, like, all of a sudden, Europe's found a little bit of gumption the last couple of weeks.
They did. They dug deep and found, like,
money.
Well, I was going to say at least one testicle, but yes.
One of them dropped, finally.
You all got some bass in your voice.
I know, yeah. Just singing, oh, and then all of a sudden, you're ruined, kid. You're out of here.
Yeah.
So, I had the voice of an angel, So, but yeah, and then so, of course, the Russians, like, turn around and say, like, oh, okay, well... and I guarantee you, so like I do watch a lot of military guys. Yeah. Most of them are pretty level-headed. There's one of them that went a little bit on the anti-Trump deep end of the things, and he's kind of disappeared. He ran over to Bluesky.
What is he?
I know, yeah, man. Yeah. So, but I mean, the guy.
There's some dudes out there. Look, I'm gonna say this. I want to throw this out there. There are some dudes that just cannot stand the "I told you so"s.
That's what happened to this guy. Yes. This guy got slaughtered by I told you so's. And to be fair to him, his analysis is usually really good.
Right.
So,
and that's the thing, is people need to be able to say, like, I was wrong. But that is not how things are playing out.
Well, his point isn't that he was wrong, is that America was more fucked up than he thought it was. And I'm like, that's the wrong take, bro.
That is wrong.
Yeah, but anyway, and yes. I still pay attention to his YouTube channel because he does good shit. Okay?
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. So, and that's actually more important than what he feels about fucking Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, he absconded over there, but most of the other ones, they're fairly apolitical, and so they stay. But they were the ones pointing out, it's like there's a whole reason why we'd actually let the Ukrainians use the ATACMS missiles in Kursk region is because there's 14,000 North Koreans there. North Korea hasn't fought a war since 1953.
Right.
So this is the only chance that we've had that doesn't involve us directly getting in war with them to test something out on them to see how they respond.
It's not really us doing it. I mean,
right, but I mean, if we watch you guys take notes,
like, I mean, if you unscrew like the components, you'll find a lot of like stamps that say like Detroit, Michigan, and
Northrop Grumman. Yeah, exactly. So so I'm not too worried about World War III, man. But like Putin's doing what he usually does in a situation like this. He knows how to like spook the Europeans. And man, did he do that yesterday. Yeah. So, yeah. And so that's just him playing his game like he usually does. I mean, they called us. That came out yesterday. They actually picked up the phone and said, hey, we're going to do this. We're like, oh, well, you better not. Otherwise, we're going to launch up now. We're like that. So I don't worry about it too much. So, and then like all the conspiracy theories that I've been seeing, about deep state and blah, blah, blah and stuff, when shit like this happens, it's really like hard not to pay attention to that.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but it's still like, if you just sit down and you kind of think it out a little bit, it's like, all right, well, he lost the election. What's he going to do now? He's going to do the things that he wanted to do anyway. This is probably one of the things that he wanted to do anyway.
Right.
So, fine. Right?
It's weird. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that yes, it's probably calculated. It is probably going to be okay. But there are components that make you look at this and say, like, this is... Somebody could make the wrong move here.
Somebody could totally make the wrong move. That is absolutely true.
And that's the problem. Is there's a certain amount of trust that you want to have in the people in positions of authority. And you know, that being said, I don't know how things are going to play out with the change of power in just a couple of months here.
I'm pretty optimistic about it. So I'm pretty, yeah, I've grown more optimistic since we talked last week. So.
To be fair, I think there's kind of like a little bit of a Reagan thing going on here where
Maybe.
I actually do think things will be coming to a close with the swap of the administration.
Closed in Ukraine?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe.
I do.
Okay, that'd be nice. So.
I think that there may be there have been some talks between Zelensky, Putin, and Trump.
Well, and the Germans. They were talking with Germans earlier this week.
And it makes me think that there may be something that comes to a close with that.
That'd be cool.
Yes, that would be great.
That'd be great.
Well, especially as you mentioned, those projections in terms of like replacement rate, those guys are going to be hurting worse than anybody else on the planet.
Both of them. There's
Jesus Christ,
bro. There's a big report that I saw come out like on what is it? Today's Friday. This was like Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
That the Russian population, and you might want to ask your friends about this, that the Russian population numbers have been over-reported for decades. So, and that like their army is about half the size that we had estimated that it was.
Would not be surprised.
Yeah. So, and it was all based upon like this counting trick where they say we have battalion has 6 BTRs in it. Each BTR holds 5, cucumbers. So, which is Soviet troops, right? So, ergo, we have 300 troops.
Right.
Do you see the problem here?
Where you say, by basis of having these units, that's how much the unit is.
Exactly. If you have seats, regardless of whether or not there are butts in said seats, that's how many men you have.
Correct. That would be like to the tune of saying, like, oh, well, if I do the numbers on this many planes flew across the country today, right?
Right.
And so if you go with the presumption of every seat being filled, you then say, well, we had X amount of passengers every day, right? But you got to count the seats.
You got to count the tickets.
Yeah.
So, but apparently that's been going on for a long time, and there are Russian commanders at the front who will get new units, okay, and they'll have vehicles.
Bro, I again, this is just one of those moments where, for all the problems that you can look at, and there are things that I do hope do get cleaned up. I do hope that there are certain things that Patrick, I would be the happiest person in the world, okay? Just the absolutely happiest person in the world, where I could believe that within a government, the new administration actually does what it takes to actually curtail the government's power. It's rare. It does happen, but it is rare. But even at that, I still look at this country and I say, I feel like we've been the only people that have been even close to reporting accurate numbers about anything.
Oh, yeah.
For the past 30 years, 50 years.
Some people are pretty, like the English are pretty good. So
Yeah.
most of your WTO countries are pretty
Most
good.
of them are, because they're all like watching.
Well, they all want to point the finger at each other if
Yeah,
someone's up to
there's
shenanigans.
exactly,
Yeah,
yes,
you know, and I mean, there's ways to do that. No, man, our government produces amazing sets of data. You know that just I mean, they're required to. You know, and I mean,
Right.
you get your ass chewed by the GAO if you fuck things up. You know, I mean, like the Pentagon audit is one of those things that, you know, people bang on that drum, you know, a lot. But the Pentagon, when they talk about the defense budget, it's not a single thing. It's like a solar system of budgets. Okay. And so if one agency fucks one of their budgets up, and that happens,
Yeah.
then they say, oh, well, the whole fucking thing is jacked. And it's like, well, actually, no, it was the Navy this time that fucked it up.
But they need to grab that. They
do.
They need to make that clear.
Well, they usually do, but that comes out in the report that comes 3 months after the fucking, you know, it hits the news. So
Right.
that's how it works.
Right.
You know, because it takes the auditors a while to actually go through and find all the receipts and actually tack it all down. I mean, I've known a couple people here and there who've been adjacently associated with things like the Federal Reserve. These guys are nerds, man. So they're the kind of guys who, you know, like if you were to try and pull, oh no, that's not, it's data integrity. You know? So I'm gonna have to call the GAO. So you know, they're that kind of guy, you know. And everybody's like, well, okay, fucking do it. He's like, well, you know. So it's 50. It's got another 5 in it.
And and then you then turn around and look at, you know, that 17 trillion, you know, China GDP. I'm like, no, man, this is pencil whipped to shit, man. Like,
there are so many ways. Like, there are so many ways people have improved. I see like exports are the easiest thing because you can count it where it's supposed to show up to.
right.
I was like, wait a minute, there's supposed to be 60,000 pairs of Nikes on this thing.
60 times
right.
0, 0, 0, 0.
Right.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's
So it's well, and like the same thing with like the casualty numbers in Russia Ukraine war. You know, there's guys who found amazingly clever ways to actually see whether or not, you know, the official numbers are anywhere remotely close, and they're not. So they're way lower.
Well, it was the same thing this time around with
They do it with cell phone data now.
That is correct. Yeah. That was actually the campaign data that I found more fascinating than anything else this time around when it came to how organic are the rallies.
Oh, the Trump ones?
Yes.
Oh, very much so.
Ones. Those ones were when they actually trapped the data of the Harris ones.
Oh, they want shit for people there. Yeah.
Well, on top of that, they were able to tell, like, all right, so they're coming from here.
Yeah.
They're coming from here, and these people, like, they'd be able to tell, like, only 14, this is their first, right?
Yeah, they're like Dodger fans, man. They roll together.
Yes. You know? And they were being bussed from place to place to inorganically fill this shit.
Dude, that's what the Dodgers do. Did you know that?
What, they bust their fans?
Yeah, they organize days where their well, they don't bust them themselves, but they organize like, okay, we're going to have fan rally at this away stadium. And LA is such a big fucking stadium that like people are like, okay, I'll go, you know? And then so you get this roving nomad band of people who follow like the campaign stops for the Dodgers.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, that's and so it just turned out that these rallies were completely inorganic, and they had this little like brief media war of like, no, your rallies are fake. It's like, no, your rallies are fake. I'm like,
Trump's rallies are not fake, man.
No,
you and I tried to get into one. I drove by a second one. It was not fake.
And
that was in 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's
exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Versus when the people were really riled up.
There's a neat map that was actually on NPR. I don't really pay attention to NPR, but it showed up. So where it actually showed all the counties in the United States and how they had shifted.
Oh yeah.
And the hilarious thing is, if you look at it, they're not all red. Okay, so there used to be some that were like bright red, like up in Wyoming. There's a bunch of them that actually moved blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing. This county moved blue.
Yeah.
Okay. But then there's a whole bunch of ones that you would expect to be bright fucking blue. They're bright red. So what does that tell you? Everybody moderated. Everybody. Okay, everybody gets sick of the far left and the far right bullshit, and they saw Harris for exactly what she was. So in terms of like basically just being, not even a figurehead, kind of like what it's not even. It's like like you have those Catholic funerals. Yeah. Where they have the guy who plays Jesus. So he represents somebody, but the actual guy doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of was, and they're banging the drum and playing the horn. Because Don Corleone is dead now.
This is such. I mean, it's
just stabbed by an olive oil salesman from New York.
Absolutely did. Yeah. I mean, that is such a. Granted, this is completely useless information because I mean we haven't even sworn in the new guy, but when they go to the polls and they say like, who's the front runner on the Democratic side in 2028?
Oh God, nobody's. You can't pay attention.
I know they still say Kamala Harris, but I'm like,
there's no way.
Well, who else is there? The only thing that was a gauge of was to prove how unpopular Gavin Newsom is around the rest of this country.
Yeah, she took a bullet for him, man.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that's made perfectly clear is that nobody outside of California wants Californians in any bigger seats of government.
Oh, absolutely not. Well, and he missed his chance too, man. He could have stepped down from that and actually run for that Senate seat, but he didn't.
Well, he also he also could have been one of the people that at that moment said, excuse me, good party, I will not let this travesty stand, and I will throw my hat in this ring, excuse me.
Oh, yeah, he totally didn't do that either. Yeah.
There were
actually, that would have been interesting if he had. So
that would have been his opportunity.
Yeah.
Because it's like this utterly unlikable one. And they say, like, now they're joking about it. It's like, okay, well, now she's got now they're seeing her as the potential governor of California. I'm like, my ass.
I don't think she'd be able.
No fucking way.
No, I don't think she'd be able to win California.
No way.
I think she's done, man. She's done. Tim Walz is probably done. I don't think he's term limited though, so he might be around another term.
He might, but he lost his county to Trump.
Yeah, I know. Well, not the state.
No, but his. I mean, that's a.
He's the governor.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I don't think he's that shit hot up there.
No, he's not. He's just a Democrat, and it's a very blue state.
Yeah.
So, well, it's a blue city surrounded by Alabama.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
so
northern Alabama.
Northern Alabama, yeah.
It's winter Alabama. I don't know.
In Alabama, north of the wall. Yeah.
Something. I mean, okay. So yeah, I think it's really Alabamans. That's the thing. Is that right. I don't think the terrain is the same per se.
Right. Yeah, it's the stock.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think he's done. I think the Democrats going to have to wander around in the wilderness. I've seen all this commentary over the last week about, well, what did the Democrats do? I don't think they did anything wrong. I think the Republicans just actually found their mojo finally. So, we really got to the point in time where we just cleaned the whole fucking thing out.
Bro, their entire the Republican starting lineup, okay?
Oh, it's completely different.
It's all Democrats.
Some of it is.
Well, no, I mean, if you're looking at basically like
there's two.
Well,
old Democrats.
If you look at basically like first, second, and third and cleanup, right? I mean, you're talking about Trump, former Democrat, right?
Yeah, a long time ago.
But a long time ago. Elon Musk, former Democrat.
But he's not actually in the government, so...
No, but you're talking about the dudes that were running on behalf of basically the people that caused it to happen. And if you're talking about Kennedy...
Well, I think J.D. Vance had a big part of that.
J.D. Vance eventually had a part of that.
Dude, we have Richard II and the fucking Black Prince out there.
Yeah, dude,
we're good.
That dude.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is like that dude was a liability for several weeks and just over the course of doing certain things right for a
Yeah.
while, then he flipped it around and it's like,
He's great.
I was like, man, this guy's actually sharp as shit. But yeah, and then if you go to Surf Mommy and Kennedy, you're like, yeah, you're the four people that are running at the top of this, the visible, spectrum of this. They're all former Democrats.
Yeah, I guess, man. But I think the Republicans actually reformed themselves. I don't want to give too much credit to interlopers here, because
Who are the interlopers?
well, the guys you're talking about, the former Democrats, because like Vance was never a Democrat, Marco Rubio was never a Democrat.
No.
So, and then I'm in like almost everybody that he's put up in the government, like, well, Matt Gaetz is out now, but that guy was never a Democrat. And so, I mean, this is my point, is that I think there's a lot of people who, they're looking at, the Democrats fucked up and scared these dudes away. It's like, no, actually the Republicans changed their message, okay, and said, hey, you guys are welcome over here. And a lot of people said, okay.
Yeah.
And so, like, when we say, oh, no, these Democrats who fucked it up, it takes credit away from what, like, Trump has actually been able to do.
Yeah.
By calling some of the lunatics out of the party, getting rid of, like, the Dick Cheney types, okay, and then, like, what you're left with is something that actually appeals to a shitload more people than it used to. He deserves credit for that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, but everybody's trying to frame it like, oh, the Democrats fucked up by blah, 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 not paying attention to the middle class, yada, yada, yada. It's like, that's all true, but they've been doing that since Bill Clinton. So it's not like the Democrats fundamentally changed over the last 25 years. So you can say they did, but you can see the trajectory.
That's pure copium. That's
I totally get that.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people are doing.
Yeah.
So, and they're not willing to actually turn around and give Donald Trump credit for actually building a new coalition right underneath the noses of your McCain-Knight people. So he deserves credit for that. So,
he does.
Yeah,
he does. As
and now he's taking a victory lap. I mean, you haven't even seen the fucking dude. So,
bro, I don't.
They're chipping on some golf course right now.
To his credit, man, that dude was 3 rallies a day for fucking
he can take it
month after month after month, man. You get to go play some golf, man.
He's definitely playing some golf, man. So
go see your family.
He's definitely seeing his family. I mean, we'll have to see. Like, thank God the fucking the cabinet sweepstakes are almost over now. So. Because I think once that's all settled, it'll be cool until January 20th. So,
I think so.
We're coming up on Christmas now, man. It's closer than people think. And, everybody's just going to chill the fuck out. And I think it's going to be smooth sailing up until inauguration, I mean, like this week, I totally did not expect Matt Gaetz to duck out. But once he did, it's like, actually, everything's cool right now. So
yeah, there's something to that
we need more info. We need more input. Yeah.
There's something that really, when it comes down to it, he was 1 vote away, and he decided to step down.
Why? Why would you do that if you're only 1 vote away?
That's the thing. Is it makes me feel like, all right, either something was going to get out that nobody wanted to get out, and there was an agreement of, if you step down, this will still continue to stay quiet. Or, I mean, there is something that maybe he said, like, fuck all this shit. Now, granted, but he's not going back to his Congress. He's not going back to his Congress.
That doesn't make
any sense. He says he's going to be working in service of the party, in service of Trump's party. And the way he said it, I mean, I know it wasn't on purpose, but the way that he said it was almost like he'd taken the oath to become a hitman. It was... Look at the phraseology.
You didn't see that guy's coming from a mile away.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, you're right. But like, I hadn't considered that. But yeah, I could see him winding up in something like the RNC. I could see that.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah, I could see that. I wonder how he does on fundraising. I don't know.
I think he does well with certain other people. Other people are like, God, you disgust me. Like I don't know what it is. It's just there's. When I look at interviews with this guy, there's the funny thing is I always laugh whenever I see him in some kind of match with people, right?
Dude, you just can't. I can't get my eyes off of him. It's just like, you actually exist. I mean, he's so plastic. It's hilarious.
Yes, so, and there are certain clips where, like, I can't remember the context, where it's like, there's one where it's like, there's this reporter that's trying to corner him on a previous statement. She's like, You said all people that believe in this are like ugly and fat. He's like, yes. It's like, do you want to retract that? No. And it's so out of nowhere
Yeah.
where.
But that's Trump shtick. He can't do that with the king around.
No.
I wonder if that's what happened.
I don't know. Again, there's. This is a fascinating point in American politics. There's no two ways around it. This is. Obviously, this is not like the realignment that followed like post-slavery or something like that. But there's in the modern era in terms of like politics. And the weird thing too
The
is
modern era?
yeah. So I would say like post 2000.
Oh, well, clearly between I was almost taking that back further.
Oh, he's like Reagan and beyond.
They might actually be like up there with FDR in terms of actually changing things fundamentally.
There's a possibility of that.
Yeah, we'll have to see. So, I mean, he's going to essentially have a 3-term presidency. So,
Right.
kind of. I mean, if it's going to be
weird.
the way that you kind of get around that rule in the future is to have a break year, is to take a gap presidency.
Patrick, it's weird because if you're gonna like break this down and say like I'm gonna write this in a history book, you say what was the Biden administration like, and you'd say in all you'd start
under siege the entire.
well you'd say like you'd preface it by saying like I don't know what happens in the life beyond ours,
Right.
but
It's
this-
like when the Indians just defeat Custer and run around for a little bit.
well it's
But
like
then they come back, you know. I don't know.
the
yeah.
Biden administration was constantly haunted by the ghost of Donald Trump,
It was.
who was not dead.
No, we're not talking about an ethereal haunting here.
No,
we're talking about like launching missiles from Twitter. You
That's
know,
correct.
well, and he didn't even
Yeah.
have Twitter. So
Well, and this is where it's going to. I really do think that this is going to be a historical take. Is like where does look. The media was dismantled this time around. There are a lot of people who are super butthurt right now that they do not have the influence that they used to.
well, that fleet's already breaking up, man. Those pirate
I
ships are
agree.
breaking apart, and they're gonna go sail their own seas now. So, and I think like. Yeah, like the actual absolute screeching from the New York Times over the last 2 weeks.
It's crying. It's. I mean, yeah.
It's costing them like, and I mean even Jeff Bezos was like, yeah, we're gonna fire a whole bunch of fucking people because this place is going down, you know. So, and he's been kind of hands off about his newsroom since he bought that thing, and now he's like, nope. So we're gonna come in here, shirts and ties, 5 days a week. If you got a problem with that, here's your check. Give me your keys.
Yeah, keys and badge.
Keys and badge, sign out and sign here for your final paycheck. I'm writing it myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And then the same thing's true with the networks. You're seeing them start to do that. Like, and NBC is already talking about spinning off CNBC and NBC and MSNBC.
It's done.
Oh, that
They're being
happened.
sold off.
Okay, got it. So I just saw that it was
Elon Musk
speculative.
asked today
Yeah.
how much MSNBC wants.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. What are you gonna do? Just buy it and part it out? It's like, I'll buy this car because I need that bumper.
It was the same thing. It was like when they said that Rachel Maddow took a $5 million pay cut
I didn't realize how much money she made. So she made
down to $25 million a year.
know.
I'm like,
the down to was like
I was like, wait a second. I was like, what fucking bull? It's like because
it's like, what NFL do you play?
that's exactly what it's like. So what other team is making you a commensurate deal for you to say you're worth $30 million?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
That's a preemptive pay cut. So
yeah.
No, I mean that's crazy. I mean, but you know, like some of it, like the thing about it is that just nobody's gonna wind up in the same place, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna have fragmented media like we did before World War II. You know, where everybody had their own fucking local radio station, everybody had their own local newspaper, but it's just not going to be a radio station or newspaper anymore. It's going to be your podcast. It's going to be your YouTube feed, whatever. And so it's just going back to the way that it used to be a long time ago, before, basically 3 networks could dominate the entire airwaves based upon the fact that there's only so much room on the dial. So, and if you think about that, this is kind of natural, going back to AOL days.
You're right. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. The idea of people being like local media moguls again is charming.
But you just have to think about what local means. Local is not geographic anymore. Local is an area on the map of the internet. Okay?
It's almost like an attitude.
It could be an attitude, it could be an interest, it could be, I mean, it's non-spatial way of thinking about location.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it's like local means, like, you break it down and you just say, like, what is your market? Your market is people who, like, in the rural area that feel like they're under siege from cities.
It's going to be the dudes in your chat.
Yeah.
So, so which for some people should be horrifying.
I think it's supposed to be. I think
it is, man. I got to tell you, chat is just a sewer in some places. So, but
again, so I have been there since the I've been there since the dark times of Twitter. I've been there from the absolute iron fist of controlling information. I have seen it opened up. I have now seen the people bitching and moaning about, dude. One of the stupidest thing, and again, I didn't really bite into this too much, but because there were some people talking about like Bluesky and all this stuff. I'm like, guys. None of these fucking people want to hang out there on Bluesky. They don't. They don't want to agree with each other, right? They're going to want to do that for a week and say that fountain sounds awesome. But they aren't going... They're either going to argue with themselves or they're going to come back here and argue with these people because they don't want to, like, agree, right? That's not what they're there for. And that was the thing, was a couple of fucking jerk-offs. Right, they jump in there. It's like, oh, you know so much about me. I'm like, and like this one bitch, she was like, it's like, oh, I thought it was because that was my aunt to open up an account. I'm like, I popped open her shit. I'm like, this is all anti like Twitter shit as far as deep as it's like, you should delete your tweets before you run your fucking mouth, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm talking about is. Don't play it off like it's some sort of like gasping for freedom. Don't play it off like it's some sort of this. It's like you liked the moderating style over there. You liked being able to bully people. You liked it when you had like the authorities on your side, the fucking Twitter cops in there to come out there and say like, oh, look, these people don't agree with me, so they're going to get banned. I understand that. That's understand. All of Reddit. That's the whole place.
It's a school kid mentality, man. Yes. So, I mean, we see it all the time.
Don't lie.
I'm going to go tell teacher, and, ooh, you're going to get it now, buddy. So, but, I mean, and that's the thing about Twitter that makes it a little bit different than the others. It's still the adult platform.
But it's still a cesspit.
It's totally a cesspit. Well, so is any fucking neighborhood bar you go to after 11 p.m. So okay, it's pretty nice before then, but
the midnight to 2 a.m.
The midnight to 2 a.m. crowd is definitely a little greasy, it's a little seedy, a little fighty, but still it's the same bar, So and that's fine. But then there's other people who just so some of the guys that I've seen abscond over to Bluesky, so a couple of them came from the gaming community. They're devs that I've been following since I've been trying to learn how to do some of this shit, and they're just like, okay, well that's where a lot of the people that I work with are going and stuff like that. So I'm there to keep in touch with them, and I'm not political stuff. And you go check out their Twitter, but yeah, you're right, you're not political at all. So whatever. So, but then, the other guy, the military guy who absconded over there, it's like, you want to talk at people, so you don't want to talk with people. So that's fine. Go sit in the castle up there. I'm still going to watch your YouTube channel. I don't talk back to you.
Right.
So and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, But, sitting here bemoaning your country for abandoning its principles.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, I think that's a little hyperbolic. And at the same point in time, you know, like, okay, fine. You and your friends who dress up in robes go build a little fort on the coast and go ahead and transcribe the Bible for a little bit. You know, you don't have to let the rest of us in. It's fine. You know? So, but if you come back into town, you know, don't be sitting there holding your nose in the air. So at the rest of us, okay? So it's fine. So, but don't expect me to follow you over there and throw rocks at you from over there, you know, so when I can do it from here. So, you know.
No, and also don't present it as, don't pretend that it's something that you're not doing. Rob Reiner himself was an evacuee, right?
To Bluesky.
Yes.
Did he actually leave Bluesky and the country? So I've noticed like a couple of people have done that. So
Patrick, Rob Reiner then went on about a day later to say that the MAGA people had infiltrated Bluesky and made it as much of a cesspool.
So he came back.
No. Rob Reiner said, I am going to check out of politics and I am going to check into like a medical hotel establishment. He like went to like fucking rehab.
Oh, wow. Twitter rehab. Oh man, that's a great business idea.
This is what I'm saying well, this is what I'm talking about is if you see persecution everywhere,
right,
fleeing to Bluesky will not stop
it's not gonna stop
right?
that.
And if you go on Twitter and you well, not Twitter, the worst, the most pathetic hive of humans is of course Reddit, and these are the people who have been
you're not wrong.
no, these are the saddest people on the planet where it's like in only 20 days they're going to start rounding us up and putting us into camp.
Yeah,
it's like
that's Reddit.
It's
totally Reddit.
And that's what I'm saying is like if you see nothing but persecution everywhere, Bluesky ain't gonna help you.
Reddit definitely ain't
gonna help you.
No.
Fucking none of these places are going to make you feel
Get
any
off the
different.
internet, man. It's not good for you then. So go. Like I hate the touch grass thing now because it's becoming so memeable. So, but there's some truth to it, man. You know, like I mean,
some absolute truth.
There's some absolute truth to it. Go find another hobby. Go get engaged in something a little bit different. So
well, and this is Patrick. I think I'm gonna kind of end on this here because I'm gonna open this up to you for a different point later. I think that one of the next areas of business that is going to be successful, right, is ways that people can get people to actually get out and socialize.
yeah, it could be.
Because I think people are starting to really miss that from their actual, like, from COVID forward. I think there's a general unhealthiness of people it's the same way that like dating apps have gone like this where it's not working.
Dating apps are sewers. Yeah. So I did some research on that. So, but then like it's not unhealthiness, it's preference. You need to treat it like that. It's not like I'm because like I have like in-class attendance this fall has been better than it's been in at least 5 years. It's phenomenal. They're there, they're early, they're on time, they're engaged, they're cooperative. And it's not because they're like craving some kind of like nutritious meal. It's just like, no, I did it the other way. I prefer to do it this way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now I asked him, I was like, hey, you know, like if it comes down to it and you take your classes on ground, but it takes longer to do, okay, or if you do a couple of them online and you get done with your degree earlier, which one of those two is important? They said, well, getting done earlier. I'm like, okay, so we're still like based, you know, in that a little bit, you know, but if you can take those classes on ground, is that what you would prefer? Unanimous. It's like, yes, absolutely.
Right.
So it's still like there's a convenience factor that's available through online interaction that will trump a lot of things, okay? But still at the same point in time, he's talking about a whole generation of people who basically not only went through fucking public school trauma, okay?
Yeah.
Where they learned that, you know, math is like some kind of unforgivable, incurable disease. Yeah. So, but then they all went through COVID together and they got jacked out of things like, you know, homecoming, prom, you know, your first college year, whatever. And so that's the thing that blew my mind. And I think I asked that question. I've said this on the podcast a couple times, but I think I asked the question last year, how many of you are interested in remote work? And the answer is 0. None of my students are interested in remote work. None of them. So, that's very much an us generation thing.
Well, this is
the younger kids are not down with that.
well, you're not wrong. Okay. This is without opening this too much, but this is the same discussion that Will and I came to here, where it was like those of us, and yourself included, because it's like anybody who's done those long drives, right?
Yeah.
If it's anything, if you could remember those things, if you can remember those, like those fucking snowy drives, if you can remember those things where it's like, God, some of this I could have done from home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If
should have called in sick today.
I guarantee William and I are both like, if I could have done that, if I'm just managing the station in North Dakota from here, right? Everything that we're looking at here, where it was like, that was such a pain in the ass, you did it. And then you have this opportunity where it's like, wait a second, I do this all from here. It's absolutely appealing. But you're right. If you had that taken from you, you're like,
or in their case, they've never had jobs that weren't that way,
right?
And so it's new, it's exciting, and it's much more engaging. So and that's what it comes down to. And then on top of it, they all recognize that if you're the guy who shows up 5 days a week, you're way more competitive than the fucking turd who shows up on conference calls 3 minutes late, and you can tell that he just got up.
Just got up, and it's like, bro, you don't have sleeves. I mean, you're not. I mean, this is the other thing that I joked about this earlier on when it came to how you dress around the house. Right. And I was like, look, it's just me that lives here. So
right.
The moment that I return home from somewhere, okay, sleeves come off,
right,
MAGA hat goes on. No.
You crack your silver finger. That's my PM somewhere.
All right.
That's a good place to start.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
Hitting the button.
All right.